Hello, internet. Oh, I just got the alert that says that Handgun Radio is now live. So let me tune into that.
Hey everybody. Forgot I did not do one part of this here.
This is how professional we are. Ryan's writing the show notes.
Hello and welcome to Handgun Radio. I'm your host, Ryan Bachad from the wild woods of Central Maine, and this is your home for all the news, information, and discussion in the handgunning world. This week, we discuss some recent handgun developments as well as listener email. So as always, Handgun Radio is brought to you by the Firearms Radio Network, and please check out the Patriot Patch Company for their awesome patches and other high-quality items. Visit patriotpatch.co for more information. And as always, shop Amazon using our affiliate link, firearmsradio.tv/Amazon. And weird, if you wanted to help support Handgun Radio, how would you do it?
I would send lots of user emails so we don't have to come up with content.
That's good content, though.
It's great content. Actually, I love doing the user emails because that's good stuff because somebody cares about it. When we're thinking about stuff that we just think it's cool, it's like, are we the only ones in the world that think this is cool? But what you want me to say is go to firearmsradio.tv/pledge and click on HGR.
And there's a link there in the show notes, and we really appreciate it if you have pledged or are considering doing so. So, Weird, what did you do this week?
I hit the range.
You sent me a picture, and I posted it, too.
Nice. Yeah.
So people know you actually went.
I did. I went to the range, and so it was one of those. My carry guns were starting to get that fuzzy pocket gunk, holster gunk, cruddy. Just kind of these things need a good wipe down. So, I mean, if you're gonna unload the guns and wipe them down, you might as well load them up first and shoot the bejesus out of some targets first. So I brought the 617 just because, come on, man, that's the greatest investment I've ever made. Let's face it.
I gotta say that was I'll repost the video to the Handgun Radio page so people can see it again. But out of all the guns we shot, I'm pretty sure that was probably the one that was my most favorite.
It is such an enjoyable gun to shoot, and it's just so good for your shooting just because you've got no recoil and you've got that nice long double action trigger or nice crisp single action trigger, and ammo doesn't cost a whole lot. So shot that a lot. Also pulled out my 1911 SC. Did a bunch of I don't do this as often as I should, which was I carried it to the range, and then I filled my mag carrier on my shoulder holster up, and so I was doing reloads off of the mag carrier. I don't know why I don't do that more often because but yep, works out. Reloaded from the shoulder holsters, no big deal.
And
I also brought my PM45. And
I saw that in the picture. You're like, oh, I'm doing 45. And I was like, oh, I get your 1911. No, I got the PM45.
I had the 1911 too. The 1911 too.
I just didn't see that in the picture.
Yeah. And I sent you that text message because I also brought some rifles with me and realized as I was loading up the handguns, I did not throw any 308 of it. I was debating which stash of 308 to dip into, and I'm like, didn't put any in the range bag at all. So that was a gun I didn't have to clean.
So you didn't get to shoot the FAL then?
Mm-mm. Nope.
So how about this P99? Because I remember I think you sent me a message about this.
Yes. So I go into the club, and it's a private club, so it's got a little clubhouse in there, and there's, as with most clubhouses, there's a little bulletin board, and people put the guns they want to get rid of, and of course I'm always going to look to see if there's anything that might want to come home with me. And I saw a Walther P99, which is on my want list. I really would like to have a Walther P99. This one was a compact. I'd rather have a full size, but I'll contemplate it. It's in 40 Smith & Wesson. I'd still consider a 40 Smith & Wesson. And then it was asking $500 for it. I'm like, geez, somebody listens to Handgun Radio.
Oh, I don't know. I had a 40, I had a 27, a Glock 27, and
I've shot a full size P9. No, I shot a Smith & Wesson 99 or Smith & Wesson Peanut. What do they call
The
SW99?
SW99.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I shot an SW99 in compact in 40, and that sucked.
Yeah.
That's
I don't know, man. I mean, the P99, I like it, but eesh.
from my memory. I mean, this was like that was actually my my safety class to get my carry permit. That was one of the one of the cop. That was the cop that I was that was teaching the class. That was his backup piece, and yeah, yeah, that gun was like twisted and bucking all out of my hands. It was on par with shooting my PM45, and my PM45 is in 45 and is like half the size of it.
I remember thinking, like, when I first shot the 27, I was like, I mean, it's accurate. Like, I'm putting really good groups on paper with this, like just shooting it for the first time, but man, is it snappy.
Mm-hmm.
So this week for me, I honestly haven't done too much. I'm still trying to get everything kind of closed down for the winter up here. Being a new homeowner, there's a lot of things that I haven't thought about that I need to
You
do.
have heard all of the. What have you done this week? I've done nothing related to
Yeah.
guns.
Yeah, exactly. That's basically now I understand. But I have been getting my reloading bench set up. So I have my bench back. I've gotten all my shelves the way I want them. I really want to mount some pegboard though, and I do have some downstairs that I think I'm going to be able to mount up there. So that'll probably be my project for this week. But yeah, pretty boring.
Oh, speaking of reloading bench, oh, somebody on on an IRC board that I was chatting with was talking about how High Point's coming out with a 10 millimeter carbine.
Yes, I've seen that.
Oh man, that is something to hand load too, because I think that with the right hand loads, using like slower powders to take advantage of that longer barrel, you could definitely get that from a pistol caliber carbine to an intermediate caliber rifle.
Everybody was making jokes about like, oh, well, would you really want to put your face next to that? And it's like, I mean, I've always been pretty impressed by the High Point carbines. I have a hard time believing they're going to put something out that's going to put anybody in danger.
I mean, the High Point pistols aren't a whole lot of fun. I mean, they're big, they're heavy, they're goofy, they rattle around a lot. They're ugly as sin. But the number of people that have them, I mean, it's not like they're stock languages on shelves. People pick them up, and like it's, people with not a lot of money that are, people with not a lot of money who that's the only gun that they can afford, or they're more willing to spend, the $150 for the High Point than the, $200 for the Taurus or whatever. There's a ton of High Points out there, and it's not like the stories of I'm missing 2 fingers on my hand because my High Point blew up, or the slide broke off and hit me in the face.
They're the Yugo of handguns.
I mean, they break, but every gun breaks, and guns as inexpensive as a High Point, I expect them to break more. It's okay because they'll fix them.
But the carbines actually don't actually tend to break, from what I know.
The carbines have a really that's the most common thing with like High Point knockers is High Points, they're ugly, they're terrible guns, I never use them. Yeah, but the carbines are okay.
Right. So what's your drink segment this week?
I don't really have anything new for the drink segment, but I'm currently actually just finishing a Green Park, which is 2 ounces of gin. It calls for Old Tom or the equivalent. New Amsterdam, I think, fits very well into that Old Tom category of gin. 1 ounce of lemon juice, half an ounce of simple syrup, half an ounce of egg white, fresh basil, and celery bitters. And what you want to do is you want to put all that stuff together and then muddle up the basil really, really good until the liquid starts turning greenish. Then froth up your egg whites, either by doing a dry shake or use like a cappuccino frother or an egg beater or whatever you want to do. And then chill it on ice, and then make sure to double strain it because it's going to be full of all sorts of green nastiness. and double strain it into your cocktail glass, and it is so good, dude. I gotta make you something with egg white. I will make you into a changed man.
We got to try that. So,
It-
uh, hate to interrupt you, but our mutual friend Manuel
Mhm.
posted something today. I tagged you in it on Facebook, and basically his first Sazerac at a restaurant looks like it has a peel of something in it. I don't
It
know much
traditionally is
about your
lemon.
drink segments. Yeah, so maybe that's a lemon peel. And yeah, so I immediately tabbed you, and he said he messaged you. I haven't heard anything, but yeah,
I haven't logged onto Facebook in like a week and a half.
yeah. So I figure I
But
figured you could.
there it is, and it is served up. See, I actually had I went to Strega, which is a very high end steakhouse, Italian
Ooh.
steakhouse here in Boston.
Oh well,
And
Outback wasn't taking orders. You getting a little uppity on me?
the wife suggested we go to Outback for dinner tonight. I'm like, I don't want to go to Outback. I don't mind Outback actually. I rather enjoy Outback, but I was not feeling Outback tonight. We got Chinese. Um, but yeah, they gave me the Sazerac, which is actually I prefer. They gave it to me in a cocktail glass instead of in the traditional Sazerac method. Which actually, if you go and look at Manuel's picture, you'll see that Sazerac is served traditionally up. Actually, there might be some ice in there. I can't tell, but it's traditionally served. It's served up, but it's served up in a rocks glass. And unless you have a very, very tiny rocks glass, which you can buy specifically for Sazeracs, it's going to only go like a little less than halfway up a standard rocks glass. And that looks goofy. But yeah, they're super yummy. You've had them.
Yes, they are. They kind of remind me of a whiskey with a black licorice flavor.
Yeah. Well, that's the absinthe. I use Pernod. I You'll often find them not to be as black licoricey. I add just a hair more Pernod because I really like that contrast. But and I also add a little bit more of the bitters too because the Peychaud's bitters are delicious.
Excellent. So with that, we'll head into the main topic: various handgun developments and listener emails. So here we go. We'll start with our various handgun developments. I thought this one from the Firearms blog, and a lot of these are from the Firearms blog, was interesting, especially because I've gotten to shoot Weird's 21A. So this is the keychain suppressor from Armatac's Beretta 21A. Weird. What's going on here?
Oh, isn't that beautiful?
Oh man, must be nice to have these things in a free state.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't even have a threaded barrel, right?
No, I can have a threaded barrel. None of that stuff. It only applies to rifles.
Oh,
so,
okay.
Oh yeah, you can get threaded barrels all day long, and put threaded barrels on guns.
What was the other company before this that you were talking about? Because when I first brought this up, you're like, "Oh, I've seen this before," and I was like,
"Oh,
this
yeah,
is a
what was that?"
Video, so. But you said it looked like a little medicine bottle, like people used to keep their what's that heart medication in?
Yeah, nitroglycerin.
Nitroglycerin, yeah, little like silver medicine bottles people
There
keep on their keychains.
Let's see. That's loading. Let's see. Gemtech. What do they call it? Gemtech pill bottle.
Okay.
But it's a lot smaller. Like it is the size of, it's probably a third the size of the other one. Actually, probably even smaller because actually it looks like the diameter is even a little bit smaller. And theirs was also for a 21A, which is pretty cool.
It's actually incredibly quiet too. If you watch the video.
Oh, that one. Well, the cool thing that got me about that is that, because of course the first question I've got is okay, how do you get the threaded barrel? Because it's not like there's enough meat on the end of a Beretta 21A's barrel for you to thread. And I mean, I guess it's just a pin you got to drive out. I haven't really looked to see actually how the barrel comes off that little pivot pin on it. But
well, here, let's see if I can if I can play this and we can actually hear it, like how it's really not that bad.
Before we go, so evidently um they'll modify your gun, and when they do it, they also modify the thumb safety on the gun, which I'm all for, because the thumb safety is the most superfluous thing in the world. Like, unless you're, that's one of the statements, is like, if you've got like severe arthritis or something like that, you never need to actually rack the slide on a 21A. You can just tip up the barrel, drop around into the chamber, close the barrel, and you're ready to go. In theory, you could also have the camera cocked and carry it cocked and locked, so it's only single action for you. That's fine. But for me personally, I'm going to be doing double action, single action, so the safety is going to be off. This one, if you put the safety on, it no longer kills the trigger, but it locks the slide in place, which means it's not going to cycle, which seems like a terrible idea until you think about the fact that you're using a suppressor, so you want it to be really quiet.
Right.
So you got that audio?
Yeah, we got the we'll do the one where he shoots it without the slide locking open first. Let's see here. Okay. How's this?
Accessible through that breech face. But I've locked the slide, and
I mean, that's incredibly quiet.
Yep. I mean, it's hard to tell on a video, because cameras don't, the microphones don't do a good job at showing that, but it does seem very, very quiet.
Right. But then you move to something like this is multiple right here.
Try to hit something with him. Flinch. Ow, slide bite, seriously. Oh, come on. There's a front sight.
No, even there, you're not looking at something, and you would think, that would sound like something that was larger. I mean, that's for a small, tiny suppressor and a really tiny pistol. That's pretty good.
I'm wondering about him using the front sight. I wonder if he's looking around the can and using the front sight just to index. I've heard some people do that, is you use both eyes open and line up the sights on the can, and essentially you're using your offside eye to look at the target and your dominant eye to look at the sights. But
look in the comments. It's arm tack, not arm attack. Just FYI from the guy that made that can. Jeb Burnett, Vice President, arm tack suppressors.
Well, we should fix that in the show notes.
Yeah, sorry guys. Yeah, they fixed it on the page too. So, but I think that's pretty awesome. Wouldn't you like to suppress your little 21A? Would that make you feel more like James Bond?
Oh, I love suppressors, and the 21. I mean, the only downside to that is because it uses that direct blowback system. You get a lot of gas in your face when shooting a 21A. I've shot a suppressed 21A before, and it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And again, it's such a small gun. We were talking about the fact that, any gun like James Bond's Walther PPK is, the size of like a Super Red Hawk revolver when it's got the can on the end of it, just because it's a small gun, but you're adding a lot of length to it. This thing is, maybe the size of a Glock 19 now, with the can added on, a little shorter in the grip frame.
Right. So, did you see the picture of the 9mm, 357 Magnum, 357 Maximum, 41 Magnum, 44 Magnum, and 454 Casull revolvers?
Ooh, look at that.
You and I are wheel gun freaks.
Yes.
Now, Richard Johnson, I actually got to post this in the show notes too, over at Guns, Holsters, and Gear, just did a review of a Smith & Wesson. It was a 9mm revolver of some sort, but I thought it looked awesome. I'll go find that, but check out that picture and kind of describe it to people who can't see it.
Well, I'll just read the description here. From top to bottom, we find the Smith & Wesson 929 and 9x19, Smith & Wesson 627 and 357 Magnum, Ruger Super Red Hawk and 357 357 Maximum. I didn't know they made the Super Red Hawk and 357 Maximum. Dan Wesson 741 VH and 41 Magnum, Smith & Wesson 629 and 44 Magnum, and the Super Red Hawk in 454 Casull. God, the Super Red Hawks are so ugly. Like, it's just like an Alaskan with a growth. That's why I love the Alaskan so much, is that's how the whole gun's supposed to look. But yeah, that's pretty cool.
Oh, come on. Where is that? I'm trying to find a picture of this revolver. The minute I saw it, I was like, oh man, that is a gun that Weird would like.
I'm wondering if someone started going nuts with a 357 Maximum. I'm wondering if you could get a gun. Well, actually, that's just a Super Red Hawk. So that's not a gigantic revolver. Some of the early, like the Dan Wessons in 357 Maximum, were like the size of a Smith & Wesson X frame.
Right. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, I found it. Personal Defense World. It was an article by Richard. The Performance Center 986.
And what is that? A 7-shot 9mm?
Let's see. 7 rounds plus P. Nice grips on it. L frame. Titanium cylinder, unfluted, which TJ Gauthier would hate.
I don't know what's wrong with that poor boy.
Using moon clips.
Well, would have to.
Flat side barrel on the front. I do like that. What do you think?
Oh yeah. I mean, again though, I'm not crazy about pistol caliber revolvers. I'd still just go, you know what? Get it in 357. I'd much rather have a a 686 and 357 with moon clips. It's just, I get it if you're a gamer, and that's what that's designed for. It's a gamer gun. It perfectly makes sense on the shorter the cartridge is, the faster your reloads are going to be. And when you want to shave off like, a 100th of a second, that's a good way to do it. But overall, it's one of those, like, I just don't get it. I just don't get it. Like, the only thing that would have made sense, and they never made it, was, I always thought when Charter Arms was talking about that they were coming out with a pistol caliber revolver that didn't need clips, I thought, ooh, if they got it in their little small frame revolver, the little J frame size guns, and did it in 9mm that didn't need moon clips, that would make great sense as like a police officer backup gun, because you could even practice holding your magazine over the cylinders and just ejecting the rounds stripping the rounds off the magazine and firing them directly into the cylinders. And I bet you could get pretty good at it. I know I've heard of people that load Ruger Blackhawks with Desert Eagle magazines. They have that as their speed loader.
I do have to say, looking at back to the picture of all the different guns and the different calibers, that Dan Wesson looks damn good. I
love the looks of Dan. I mean, that was the first 357 I ever shot, was a Dan Wesson.
The way the frame is angled, it just kind of looks like everything's just kind of going forward.
I love them. I love the idea of it, because also when I never actually had a chance to do any, I never got to that point where I was good enough to do speed reloads with it. But I can imagine that Dan Wesson system where the lock is up on the crane instead of back. So it looks more or less like a Smith & Wesson, what is it? Is that a K frame size?
That looks like a N frame.
Yeah.
Or an L frame.
Yeah, I think it's an L. yeah. But oh wait, no. Let's see. What's it in? That'll be able to tell us.
That's 445 Super Mag, I think. No, 41 Magnum. So
41 Magnum. So it's
probably
so
an
it's
L
gonna,
frame.
so it's gonna it's. No, I think they put those in end frames, didn't they?
Oh yeah. And well, I didn't know what Dan was, but equivalent.
But equivalent. It's not exactly, but we can, it's close enough.
It looks damn close to that 627. Well, that 27 is an end frame. So that 627 is an end frame.
Yeah, it's a 929. So that's it.
Yeah.
And the 627. Yeah, those are all end frames.
Where's my decoder ring?
I know. It's so tough. It's so tough, especially suddenly your eyes get crossed, like you get in the zone and then suddenly you're off it and you're like, what was that again?
Oh, just to let you know, the pause just wrote on Manuel's picture of the Sazerac, those are disgusting. Just so you know.
Yeah, because it's not a Bud Light Lime.
Oh, gonna get a negative review on this show.
Shots fired.
Boom, boom, boom.
But yeah, but the thing I like about the Dan Wesson too is I do the switch over to the switch the gun over to your support hand when you're reloading and eject the rounds with your dominant hand. So I fire the gun and let's say it's a standard Smith & Wesson or a Ruger. I fire the gun until it's empty. And then I push the cylinder release with my right hand, open up the crane with my left hand, and then my right hand lets go, punches out the rounds, and then I'm going for my speed strips. For the Dan Wesson, you're immediately grabbing onto exactly where you need to do, opening the action and having your fingers on the crane right there. Because you're opening the action with your left hand, grabbing the front of the crane right where you can start opening the cylinder. It just seems like it's a lot faster. And even then too, if you wanted to go away from the tactical punching it out with your right hand in case there's a stuck case, you could in theory open it up with your left hand and eject the rounds with your thumb.
Maybe one of the reasons that it was thought that might not be a great place. Maybe it gets hotter down there, being so close to the forcing cone and stuff.
Yeah, I guess so. 41 Magnum too, it might.
Like at least when you're using a thumb release that's back on the frame, that's not anywhere near anything, and all you have to do is kind of bump the cylinder to get it out, so you're not really touching it for any length of time.
Yeah. So I don't know. I mean, it's not like I've ever had like the ejector rod or anything get super hot on it. So,
but then again, you're only touching the ejector rod for what, a couple like tenths of a second.
That's true.
You're not actually like manipulating a latch where you have to place your thumb completely flat on it.
Yeah. Though again,
I don't know.
I'm gonna say it makes sense, but I don't think it's a case because again, also when you're grabbing the cylinder, I mean, you're holding on to it. And you're getting a good purchase. So you're also right near the mouth of the chamber.
A lot more surface area on a cylinder though.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, if you have a Dan Wesson and have put
let us
ton
know
of full house loads through it for whatever it's chambered in, especially if you got one of those ones that's, what was it? 445
Super Mag. Do us a favor. Go out to your backyard. Hopefully not in the city, and dump like 3 or 4 cylinders worth. It's about $150 probably, a 445 Super Mag out of your Dan Wesson, and let us know with one of those thermal like heat sensors how hot the latch gets, and if you can touch it.
I just love the idea of just dumping that much 445 Super Mag. Like, are there even that many rounds around there? I don't think they stock them at Lucky Gunner.
I'm pretty sure you'll have to go to 4 Walmarts to find enough ammo for this test.
4 Walmarts? You're going to claim that there is any Walmart in the whole, like, all right, there
has to be up in Alaska.
Putting money on the table. No, not even Alaska.
That carries 445 Super Mag?
I don't even think so. There aren't that many 445 Super Mags.
There has to be a Walmart in this country that at
Lucky
least
Gunner
carries one box.
Tab for 445 Super Mag.
Well, Lucky Gunner needs to
Was
get
it
with
Super
the
Mag or
times because
Ultra Mag?
Super Mag 445. I know because I had a friend who had one, and he messaged me. He goes, "Dude, I just bought a box of ammo. Oh my god!" He just sent me a picture of everything stacked up against each other. I was like, "That's the round." Oh, I wish I got a chance to shoot it. Can't
For
find it.
sale. I'm right now. I'm googling. I'm seeing if I can find somebody on Gunbroker has it. Let's see.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Big Bore Radio. Google.
Yeah.
Let me Google that for you, Big Bore Radio.
All right, I can't figure out.
You can't find it.
Brass reloading taper trim. That's just a search index. It's not a direct.
Wow. All right. Well, let's talk about that 1911 that I want.
Tell me all about why you want this 1911. I've seen the pictures of it, and I want to hear I want to hear why you have such lust in your heart.
All right. So I like the Browning high power. I like the slide cuts on the front, but I also like the 1911. I like the commander size 1911. Ed Brown's making this commander size 1911 with everything that I want. The only thing is actually nothing. I thought it had the arched mainspring housing, but it doesn't. So everything that I want is right there.
Yep, it's pretty.
What do you think? What would you change?
It would screw up the look of it, but I do like front serrations.
Why do you like front serrations?
What? Because that's how I press check.
Okay, Sonny Crockett.
I do wear a shoulder holster.
All right. Well, aside from the front serrations, what else would you change?
Do
you like flat triggers? Because I kind of like flat triggers.
I like flat triggers just fine. I don't like the looks of them as much. I think they look kind of nerdy. But
that means you should like them.
Yeah, well, I think for this gun it's so pretty that I think I would make do with the fact that it doesn't have the most ideal trigger on the planet on it to have that nice 3-hole. I like the 3-hole aluminum shoe look.
I do like the grips, but I think I would replace them the ones you have.
I'd probably keep these ones just because they do go so well with the lines of the gun, but I am kind of a Luddite on the double diamonds or go home.
I don't care about the double diamonds, but the flat,
like the really thin.
Yeah, I like the really thin plates.
And again, that recessed crown. Oh God, I love a handgun with a beautiful crown on it.
What do you think about that fiber optic front sight?
It's fine.
I do like that. After shooting my Volquartsen so much, I'm like, that's the only gun that I have that actually has a fiber optic sight on it. And in broad daylight, it's fantastic.
And it's not a hindrance at when it's dark.
Right. It'll gather any available light that's there.
Does it pick up a little bit when it's dull? Does it still kind of have
it still does. I mean, you can still tell it's there. It's just not like out in bright sunlight. It's like a red dot.
Mm-hmm.
So it's available. It can be chambered in 9mm, 38 Super, and 45 ACP.
What would you go
9mm? I probably would go with 9mm.
No 38 Super?
You know how much of a caliber nerd I am and how much I would love to have a 1911 and 38 Super. But I just have to accept the reality that unless I would reload for that, it would not be economical for me to shoot.
Yep. There's some nice 38 Super loads too. It's 357 SIG. So if you like 357 SIG, you'll like 38 Super. It's just,
but the thing is, like, how much can I get 38 Super for on Lucky Gunner for 1,000 rounds?
Yeah, it's expensive. I can look it up.
Like, I'm on Lucky Gunner right now. That's the question right there. It's like, Can you really get 1,000 rounds of 38 Super
Sure you can.
for a decent amount?
No.
Does Tula load 38 Super?
I bet Aguila does.
Let's see here.
Is that all? Jeez, they don't have any.
Yeah, exactly.
You can get some. You can get some. You can get a. What was it? A 6-pack of of Glazer Blue Tips.
129 grain FMJ from Fiocchi, 50 rounds, $22.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I mean, you're not just plinking with 38 Super. It's too bad that Tula doesn't load 38 Super.
You can get some. You can get some Glazer Blue Tips for $10. 6 of them.
However, if you're buying
your magazine,
if you're buying this gun, whether it's in 38 Super, 9mm, or 45, you're probably not shooting Tula or Glazers because it has a base retail price of $3,585.
No. No, you're buying brand new Starline and loading your own.
You are buying the Dillon Company and loading your own. The Medusa, the M47. Before I get myself into trouble.
Oh, I like that was one of those moments of I was sat down. I was actually up on the 3rd floor where you were staying when you were at my place, and I turned on the TV and just went over to YouTube. Oh, what's going on in YouTube? And there was Philip and Roger's M47 Medusa, and I went Unforgotten Weapons, and I went, ha, ha, ha. I just dropped everything I was doing and put that on, because that's one of those guns that, I mean, for the longest time, I remember looking all over. I mean, this might have been before Google, just trying to find a picture of what one looked like. Like, this gun was like,
it looks like a RoboCop revolver.
Yeah, it almost reeks of like a hoax of the, I mean, you're younger than me, so, but like, kids used to talk about, like, in elementary school about oh man, you could buy a Nintendo cartridge that had like all the games on it. And it's just like, you don't need to buy like one cartridge for each game. You just buy this one magic cartridge that's somewhere. And they knew a guy who knew one that had one. And that was what I, started to see when I started hearing about this Medusa. It was the revolver that could shoot pretty much any cartridge. And I'm like, and you could barely find pictures of it. So I finally, here we've got a friend of the show, Ian, popping around rounds at it. And not only like, and I was entirely unaware of, not only was he shooting, 357 Magnum and 38 and 9mm, which is we all expected, but he was also shooting 7.62 Tokarev and
blowing the necks out of the 7.62 Tokarev and everything.
And 32 ACP, which, oh my goodness,
38 Smith and Wesson.
And he wasn't doing too bad.
No, the only one that gave any problems with the 9mm Parabellum.
Yeah.
But other than that, like the 38 Smith and Wesson did decent. He did 9x20. Was it 9x21 Browning long?
Yes.
And a few others, and they all. I mean, I think the Browning long didn't fire on the first go around, but it fired on the next one, and everything else did fine for him.
Yep. And
so yeah, it was interesting.
Super interesting, and I just like pointing out the fact that there's like over 100 rounds that this thing can fire. And the thing that got me was like, oh man, like, he's going to be he was shooting at a steel plate at, was it 15 feet? It wasn't very far.
Like 15 feet, I think, at most.
Yeah, but again, like, you kind of expect, it's a 32 going down a 9mm bore. You kind of expect it to just be going wherever it feels like. And I think he got like one hit on the plate, and the other one, like a couple of them went, got near and were splashing the sand right around it. So it's not as bad as you might imagine.
So you had a listener email you, weird. So this doesn't happen very often. So let's hear from that.
So yeah, this is from my friend Oddball. He was actually just saying in the aforementioned chat room. He's listening right now. Uh, he's saying, "Hey, I keep wanting to send in this dream gun idea that I've had." He was talking about it ever since we dropped the first show where we talked about our dream guns, and I'm just like, dude, we're going live in a couple of minutes. Just type it up and send it to me. So here it is. I have to admit that striker fired pistols are easier to carry than hammer fired. So striker fired pistol using a 4-inch rotating barrel. He's got a PX4, so he likes rotating barrels. Chassis system like the SIG P320. So you could swap out grip sizes fairly easily between full size and compact. Double stack mag and a 9mm. And throw-in sleeves for full size mags to work better with the compact frame. Being able to carry my XD compact with a XDM compact with a compact mag in the gun and 2 full size. So yeah, so that's his idea. He likes the rotating barrels. I keep telling him how wrong he is.
They're not that bad. I mean,
no, they're not. They're just goofy.
It's just something. It's just different.
It is different. It is different.
That's the biggest thing. Like, just people aren't used to it. It's not. I don't really know that any of like the merits of a rotating barrel really elevate it above a tilting barrel system that everybody else uses.
Yeah.
But I mean, if it makes you shoot better and the gun feels better in your hand and you think that the rotating barrel system helps you and you feel like it makes you shoot better, then use it.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's unreliable, then obviously then don't use it, but
there's nothing wrong. I mean, a friend of mine's got a PX 445 and that gun shoots beautifully. It's a really cool gun.
You're just not going to convince me that because the barrel is not dropping down 1/10 of an inch or 2/10 of an inch or whatever, that it's going to cause you to be any more accurate than any other gun.
Yeah, I mean, first up, the barrel's not moving hardly at all before the bullet leaves, and then second, there's no way you're that good.
Yeah, I mean, it's academic at best.
Yeah, it's like the people that I remember seeing someone talking about the H&K roller locked action is so much more for their rifles is so much more accurate than any of the, it's a delayed blowback action, so much more accurate than your modern gas operated rifles because you can truly free float the barrel on an H&K. And it's one of those like, yes, that's true. And yes, that would make a difference. But for who that would make a difference to is academic.
I'm really sorry, Oddball. I feel like we kind of just like shot you down really
We
hard.
didn't shoot Oddball down. He's a good guy. He's friends with me. He's got a thick skin.
So I got this one from a listener, and this was directed towards you, Weird. This is from Andy. Subject was future collectibles. And he said, well, thanks a lot, Weird. I was like, oh, great. Been on the fence about getting a Gen 1 Glock 17 for about a month now. Thanks to you, there's a big hole in my wallet where $100 bills used to live. I found a prime example in original Tupperware made in 1988 for a price I could not refuse. Love the show.
Well, so, Andy, guess what? You're not going to be like, oh, thanks. You're going to be, if there's a obviously it's an email, so we can't tell if there's a but I'm reading that as a sarcastic tone of the thanks a lot, Weird. Got me to spend a whole bunch of money on a Gen 1 Glock. Yeah, just wait when you're seeing like a Gen 1 Glock selling on Gunbroker for like 3 times the price of like a new Gen 6 Glock or whatever they've got.
It'll kind of be like, I mean, I remember back when I was a kid, like I want to say late 90s, early 2000s. And I was just kind of getting into guns and seeing like advertisements in magazines and shotgun news and whatnot. And I would see Smith & Wesson M&P revolvers going for like $199.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've seen them lower than that. I've seen them for like 150. It's like in a shop, like one that's been like used, but not rattly. It's, it's not tight, but it's not to the point where it's like an old, And
all I remember thinking is I had seen the Untouchables and I was like, I want the gun that Kevin Costner has. It looks so cool. Turns out it was a Colt and I didn't know any better.
Mhm.
But so I was like, I want one of those, and I obviously couldn't get one. But nowadays, those are like $500
Yep.
in decent condition. So if you were able to get this Gen 1 17 for whatever you paid for it, I'm pretty sure it's going to go up.
Oh God. Even Mosins. I never thought, like, I just got into collecting Mosins just because it's so cheap and easy to collect a Mosin, and to collect Mosins, and they're just as historical as any other gun. Yeah, the K98's a better gun, or the 1903 Springfield is a way better gun than the Mosin. But they're still they're all three of them are World War II infantry guns, or World War One infantry guns. So you've got all the history there. They've got all the serial numbers. They've got all the information. They've got all the modifications and the variants and all of that. And yet a Mosin's, when I started, it was like $70. And now, like, just a standard issue, like Tula round receiver, they're going for over, like, I've seen some for like $300. I don't know if that's inflated or not, but they're way up there. Because I guess and you go to the distributors websites and they don't have crate upon crate of 9130s anymore. So as soon as that supply disappears, the guns start going up in price.
Well, then how often do you actually see Gen 1 Glocks anymore, or Gen 2s?
Yeah.
It was weird. I went to a range one time with a guy, and he had a Gen 1 and a Gen 2 Glock, and he pulled them out, and I'm like, man, I've never, honestly, in like all the used shops I go into, seeing used guns and whatnot, I've never actually seen a lot of these. It's always Gen 3s or whatever is going around at the time. But like, to actually see an older Glock, I very rarely see that. Maybe it's just my location, or is that?
I bet you there's certain guns that people hang on to. Like, my aforementioned 617 and 1911 SC, both of those guns I bought used, and let me tell you, I burned some calories to find used ones of both of them. That was a lot of calling all the gun shops in easy driving distance of my house twice a week, just asking, do you have this in stock? Do you have this in stock? And just seeing. And the moment one came up, I went, cool, I'll be there as soon as I'm done work. And go there and went there and picked them up. Actually, with the 617, I'd finally saved up enough money for a new one, and just went in and just asked to see a new one. And one of the guys said, why you want a new one? We got a used one right here. Really? Let me see it. Yeah, I'll take the cheaper one that's just as good, and I'll send it when I finally shoot it to death. I'll send it back to Smith & Wesson. It'll come back beautiful. Right. So yeah. But again, used 617s, you never find them, because people buy them and they're like, why would I get rid of this gun? Everyone needs to have one. So why would you ever get rid of it?
So last email here before we wrap up. This is from Ryan H. Good name, Ryan. Yeah. Subject, Polymer 80. Hey guys, love the show. I've been listening for about a month now, and I was wondering if you guys have any experience with the 80% polymer lowers. I've been looking at polymer80.com specifically, the PF940C. Is there anything particularly difficult or that I should watch for? I just thought this would be a fun project. Any info would be great. Maybe it could be a whole show. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Ryan. Honestly, I haven't looked at anything 80% just because I haven't had the space up until now to do anything with anything like that. Now that I have a basement and a place where I could have a drill press and other tools, that might be something that I'll look into. Weird, have you looked into this at all?
I have not, though I just realized that, if I wanted to get my hands on a Glock, and you can get very unglocked Glocks, like you could get some really cool, cool guns out of these polymer 80s and other 80% lowers. And I believe I could make one perfectly legally. Even here in Massachusetts, I wouldn't be able to have your, full size magazines for it, but our handgun safety roster only applies to guns being purchased through dealers within the state. So just like I've got my off roster guns all came from private sales. You can also, you can also in theory build your own gun, but I've never really looked into it because it's neat on the fact that, oh yeah, you can make a Glock for a fraction of the price of just buying one, and it's a Glock you made. But when I screw up like 3 frames because I'm not a machinist and I don't know what I'm doing, suddenly the cost isn't the same.
So let's see here.
We gotta find somebody. We gotta find somebody who's done a bunch of them and have them on.
Right. I mean, you could go to like Lone Wolf or our friends at Gray Ghost Precision and find a slide to put on top of that after you've done it. It looks like it only takes a drill press.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to see. I wonder how much an actual completed slide costs.
There was a machinist who used to read my blog and would always point out that you could do it all with hand files. Evidently, whatever machinist course he took to, they were like one of those, like, all right, first you learn how to do it all with hand tools, then you learn how to do it with the mechanized stuff. That might be pretty old school.
Let's see here. Slides. I'm trying to find it here. I'd love to know like how much the complete upper would be, just so like what you would be in, and would it be lower than actually buying a Glock?
Who knows? But I still like the idea too of just buying strip parts and putting stuff on, because like it always bums me out on the Glock sights are garbage. The factory plastic sights that they come with are garbage, but it's not like they're broken or don't work. Like
right.
You'd be fine if you dropped them and broke them, and then you could throw them in the trash. But it's one of those popping off perfectly good sights and just throwing them in the trash or throwing them in a bin that might as well be a trash can, to pop on good sights, to essentially get a gun, buy a Smith & Wesson M&P and immediately pull out the perfectly functional factory trigger off of it, so you can put in, an Apex. It seems wasteful. Why not buy a gun that doesn't have a trigger and just put the trigger you want in?
Excellent. So with that, we'll head into the wrap-up section and close out the show. Don't forget to shop Brownells using our affiliate link. Head to firearmsradio.tv and click the affiliate link in the upper right-hand corner. Be sure to go like Handgun Radio on Facebook and share it with your friends, and leave us a review on iTunes. Listen to all the great shows on the Firearms Radio Network, and be sure to visit the Firearms Insider for reviews and more awesome content. And be sure to check out the Firearms Radio Network on YouTube. And Weird, thanks for coming on the show. And where can people find you?
You can find me at my blog, which is weirdworld.com. You can listen to me at the Squirrel Report and the Gun Blog Variety Cast.
All right. And there are links there in the show notes to check those out. So thanks again, Weird.
Well, that's always fun.
And until next week, have fun and safe shooting.